The global economic collapse. It's something I talk about often. In fact, I did a search, global economic collapse, looking through my videos, and you can see, if I scroll through, I'm constantly talking about the global economic collapse. Several videos right here just throughout 2018. And yet, look around. Stock market's doing great, apparently. The economy, that's doing great as well. At least that's what I'm told. So what's this global economic collapse? I mean, I must be just selling fear. I must be just lying for financial gain. These are comments that I receive often, and I'd like to address them officially. I'm no longer going to be replying to the comments. It's a waste of my time. So I thought I'd make a video to talk about them. The global economic collapse doesn't refer, number one, to the stock market specifically. The global economic collapse refers to the economy. Global economic collapse. If you look at the economy around the world, it's not good. There are very, very few bright spots. You can see unemployment is at a very, very high level. Since the financial crisis, in many areas, it has been better, but it's still at a terrible level. And I see that throughout Europe. I see that as well in, let's say, the US, for example. I have clearly and distinctly outlined the fact that the economy and the stock market are entirely disconnected. I have clearly and distinctly highlighted the fact that quantitative easing has been the exclusive reason why the stock markets have risen. And I have shown and I have proved over and over again that if quantitative tightening actually does take place, the stock markets will fall. If you read a title on one of my videos and it talks about global economic collapse and that offends you, I do not care. It's not offensive. It's 3 words and not one of them is offensive. What exactly is going on in some people's minds that they're offended by information that is publicly available, and all I'm doing is collecting it, aggregating it, and putting it together in videos? There is nothing offensive about this unless it's your portfolio that you're worried about. If your 7 shares of Amazon are at risk, it has nothing to do with me. I am aggregating the data. I have said on many occasions, do not listen to me. Do not believe me. Do not trust me. Do your own research. Do your own research. You have to be able to be there, understand it, look into it, read up on it on a daily basis. I am not going to be the one to tell you when to buy that stock, when to sell that stock. That's not what I do here. Do you go to the news agency and tell them, hey, I already saw a video about kittens yesterday. You can't show me one today. Only once. You're only allowed to show that information once on your channel. Every day there has to be something completely new than the day before. The weather, I don't want to know the weather today. You told me the weather yesterday. We're not allowed to do that here. Only what I say can be determined on your program. This is the silliness of people. Truly. I need to address what's happening today in the global economy. When you look around the world, you see complete weakness all throughout. But it's not necessarily going to be fixed by the policies that they've put in place. And that's where the disconnect comes in. We have quantitative easing measures done by basically every central bank. The Fed, Bank of England, Bank of China, we've got Norway, we've got, any central bank. They're all doing it. Many people don't understand it, and a lot of it's not public. You have to understand that. A lot of it is kept in the shadows intentionally. So that has been able to prop up the stock market. And people see a sense of confidence when they see the stock market up. They think, whoa, I'm doing fine. But I'll tell you right now, I've conversed with countless people over the years who have told me how the economy has affected them, their jobs, and so on. But the stock market had been rising all throughout all these years. And yet, we're being told everything is fine. Well, maybe it's fine for you. And that's good. That's a good thing. If you are doing well, that's good. However, what about all those individuals who are not doing well? Well, I want to be there to analyze the situation. And I'm not here to look at one particular nation. I don't look at it and say, this is the situation in the US and that's it. Number one, I'm from Canada. I'm from Toronto. But I look all around the world and I address the case for that particular country, but understanding the fact that this is a global situation. Look at how subprime mortgages started to tumble and have a snowball effect all around the world. Started with subprime mortgages, remember that. And then real estate was affected in many countries. Started with one thing. Just needed one trigger event. Anyway, if you want to know, full transparency, I've mentioned this many times. If I sell a book, so it's on Amazon, and on average, these books make me $4 a piece. $4. So Amazon takes most of the cut. If I were to ship them out myself, it would actually be the same thing, because the shipping cost is very expensive when you're doing it on an individual level, and I don't have any method of distribution. It's just unrealistic for me. So $4 a book, that's it. If you think that you can survive selling books, in fact, being an author is one of the worst ways to make an income. Okay, unless you're Stephen King, J.K. Rowling, whatever, you're not going to make an income by selling books. It's ridiculous. If you've heard my story before, the reason I wrote The Money GPS was to convince family and friends to manage their own finances and take control of the situation of an impending crisis. Whether that happens tomorrow, 10 years, doesn't matter. Their finances are affected. Their RRSPs in Canada, or what Americans would call 401ks or supers or what have you. These are all going to be affected by what's happening. That's why I wrote the book. I made a very compelling argument and nothing was done about it. So now I have a YouTube channel where I can go out there and tell people, look, Your finances need to be managed by your own two hands. That's what this is about. If you are worried about a title or an image that shows, in this example here, you can see a toilet, and that's offensive to you, well, it's okay. There's a lot of offensive things on the internet. There are a lot of things out there that are offensive to me. But it's okay. It really is. Don't worry about it. You have so many things in your life that are there for you to be worrying about. Will you be able to eat tomorrow? Will the power stay on? And so on. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about this. You know, many people, after all of these different natural disasters, Hurricane Katrina and everything, I should say before they happened, everything was just fine. These people, if you said, why don't you have preparations? Why don't you have your stuff in order? Why don't you have, a plan B, a getaway plan? Well, they would look at you like you're crazy, And then one day this hit. And people's lives, they were devastated by it. Completely devastated by it. But it came out of nowhere. Nobody could have expected it. And look at what happened. Look how unbelievably devastating that was. People suffered greatly because of an event nobody predicted, and suddenly it changed everything. So if somebody said, hey, we need to get ready, we need to be prepared because one day there's going to be a hurricane that wipes us all out, it's going to be terrible, we're going to lose our homes, we're going to be stranded for such a long period of time, this is going to be terrible. And they said, you know what, you're a fearmonger. You're nothing but a fearmonger. Get out of here. The sun is shining. Look, I'm looking up. The sun is shining. There's not a cloud in the sky. I'm walking around the city. I'm spending my money. The businesses are open. The stores are open. The stock market is up. And look around you. Everybody is doing just fine. And you're nothing but a fearmonger. That person might start to think, well, nobody's listening to me. All I'm asking them to do is just be prepared. And then it hit. And everything changed. Thank you for listening.